Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Cafaro, and I'm a proud Connecticut Republican. How about you? This isn't a state party, official party event. This is an event of Republicans coming together. The election's over, the new year is over. We wanted to come together and we wanted to have a discussion about moving forward with our party, growing our party, and realizing more success and victories in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to John just to give some background.
Well, obviously, one of the things that we wanted to do is just to take a brief statistical look. Where are we as a party and what happened this past election year? So if we're going to talk just basic statistics, one of the things we need to look at and understand is where are we in terms of voter registration. As a state, obviously, we can see that the largest block are unaffiliated voters at 42%. But as a party, we are at 20.3%. That leaves us over 300,000 votes less than the Democratic Party. And at 20% leaves us at the lowest mark our party has been in terms of registration, probably in its history. Larry, you want to take a look at the election results?
Ladies and gentlemen, when we approached the election day of November 2010, we as a party had some great enthusiasm and excitement. We heard the pundits all over saying this was the Republican year nationwide. They had predicted that we would take back at least one house of the Congress, one chamber of the Congress in Washington, possibly two. There were many Republican governors statewide that were expected to win. And certainly U.S. Senate pickups, state legislative pickups, etc. And for the most part, that happened. In fact, as far as Congress is concerned, it was the most historic switch, I believe, since 1938. We took over the House of Representatives. As you know, I think we picked up some 63 or 64 seats there, switching it over to a Republican majority. We had an 81% turnout here in Connecticut. Now remember, that's 80 of the 64% of the total Connecticut population that's registered to vote, 81% of them came out to vote. That's only 51.84% of Connecticut's total population, when you do the math, that actually came out and voted. Here's the bad news. Here in Connecticut, we lost every federal race. We lost the governor's office, and we lost every statewide constitutional office. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure anyone could remember a time when the state of Connecticut had no Republican representation in Washington. At the same time, it had a completely statewide Democratic representation here in Connecticut. And in addition, as you already know, the Democrats have a majority in both the House and Senate in our state legislature. But we got to look at the bright spots. The Senate Republicans, who had started with 12 seats out of 36, picked up one seat. That was not insignificant because it broke the supermajority that the Democrats had in the state Senate. We also had bright spots in the House of Representatives. The House Republicans, were proud to say, kept every one of the seats we had, and for the first time since the end of the party lever in 1986, where up to that point, no party had won or lost more than 7 seats, and those were net gains, meaning they had lost some but picked up others, but the total net gain was about 7 seats. We, on the other hand, kept every one of our seats and knocked off 14 Democrats, bringing our total up to 51, breaking their supermajority. Legislative Republicans are moving in the right direction, and we got to ask ourselves, why did that happen in spite of the top of the ticket? Well, let me just state you a fact. We ran for the first time in memory, with one common agenda. We announced it over a year ago, John and I did. We based our entire 2010 legislative session on it. Our chairman, Chris Healy, made it the sort of the trademark cornerstone slogan of our convention. And every single candidate for the State House and State Senate ran on a common sense commitment to Connecticut based on 7 common sense principles. Spend no more than you make. Borrow only what you could afford to pay back. If it's not broken, don't fix it, but if it's not working, get rid of it. The more government tries to do, the less it does well. Government doesn't create jobs, people do. We should have all the government we need, but only the government we need, and we should empower local governments to make local decisions. Those 7 principles were universally endorsed by every person running on the Republican ticket for state Senate and the State House. And people heard that message loud and clear. It wasn't a message that was crafted 2 weeks before an election or 2 months before an election. It was a message that we had the entire year and will continue to have. In fact, Senator McKinney and I are working on legislation now to submit, again, historically, as a team, that are based on these common sense principles to put these bills in the hopper for this legislative session.